Good morning. This is Uplift 66, our weekly video podcast. And if you are looking for a program that addresses the move from hopelessness to hopefulness, then you've tuned into the right program, because our focus is on trying to bring resources for those who are affected by bereavement and loss, a situation that I know very well because this program is dedicated to my daughter, Akeisha Phillips, who passed last October at age 43. Now, what is the anchor for our program? This program is anchored by a verse, John 10, verse 10. And that speaks to, I have come that you can have life and have it more abundantly. The Lord is speaking to the people, and this is what he said. How do we interpret that on this show? That is our effort to move towards a purpose-driven life. Life is not over because we have suffered loss. We are impacted, yes, but it is not over. So stay tuned for more on the program, because we would soon be coming back and talking about a biblical character, a biblical book today, that is Genesis. So today we are going into the book of Genesis, and I want to make this disclaimer one time. I am no theologian, nor am I a pastoral personality. I am a simple layman. I was born again, got saved when I was in my 30s, and I have my own approach to the scriptures. That layman approach is what I am sharing in this program, and I've shared it over the last 3 months. Now, today, we are going to the very first book of scripture, Genesis. I did not introduce work on a sequence basis following the chronological order of the Bible. I was more moved by the impact that certain books have had on me since I suffered loss. And the Genesis today is going to be addressed, but the scenario is Genesis has over 40 chapters, but there are still a few key upliftment verses, and we would probe those at this time. What is happening is, firstly, acknowledge the reality of grief. That is Genesis first stage that I'm addressing. Genesis illustrates that mourning is natural, valid, and expected when facing loss. And Abraham's tears is highlighted in Genesis 23, verse 2. After Sarah dies, Abraham takes time to mourn for Sarah and to weep over her. This demonstrates that faith does not cancel out sorrow. Human sorrow is not cancelled out by that. And remember that Abraham was the husband of Sarah, and they are persons who have been prominently highlighted in the first book of the Bible. Another element is Genesis 51, verse 1. When Jacob dies, Joseph falls on his father's face, weeps, and kisses him. This is a powerful emotional display of loss and affection. And I must make the point that Joseph was at the time the prime minister of Egypt. He was just working under the Pharaoh. And when his father passed, his title did not impact or affect the way he grieved. He was very disturbed by the loss of his father, and we kept it here in scriptures. The second element of this Genesis book that I want to reflect on is what I would call recognize a grieving God. Genesis provides an unexpected deep comfort. God was himself in a scenario where he was grieving for man. He said the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. What is the takeaway here? Your sorrow is not invisible. The Creator understands. deep heartache and feels it with you. A third theme that I would share, shift from sorrow to providence. Genesis teaches that despite the brokenness of the world, God can weave good out of tragic situations. After years of suffering, Joseph says to his brothers, "But what is this? You are welcome to be here," even though these guys were responsible for selling him into slavery when he was just a teenager. So he had a kind of attitude that was very surprising to his brothers, because he was not disturbed to the point that he no longer wanted to speak to them. And remember, he's dealing with them while he's also a very high public official in that country, Egypt. Now, Genesis 49, verses 29 to 50, speak to something that Jacob addresses. Jacob directs his family to bury him with his ancestors in Canaan, showing faith that God's covenant promises outlast the current generation. And what is the takeaway? You are not alone in your journey. God's presence provides security, and his promises provide hope for a future that is not defined by present scenario or present pain. Finally, in Genesis 23, verse 3 to 20, it covers a set of information that helps us to understand. Following his deep grief, Abraham doesn't stop living. He asks to purchase a burial site for Sarah. This shows that proper respectful burial or honoring the memory of a loved one is a step forward closure. And we have seen that being practiced by our own people. And people do that in an effort to help them get closure. But what is the final take from this? I looked over the work of one Dr. Handel Robinson, and he has his take on grief. He says there are 3 stages of grief, and I want to just point to them now. The first one is a crisis stage. And the crisis stage, he points out, is that 2-week or 3-week period we take to administer or organize for the funeral, like Abraham had done for Sarah. So when you're in the crisis stage, you are busy with preparation to honor the deceased in that way. The second stage is the crucible stage. Dr. Robinson points out that the crucible stage can last about 6 weeks. He says that this is the stage when you are the bereaved one coming to terms with the death. And what you are doing is seeking to get a good sense of how to come back to normalcy. That is, to function in your workplace if you are employed. To continue doing what you have to do if you're the breadwinner of the family. And or to continue to live in a way, if you are retired, that your family will think you are at least handling things normally. But what is clear in this period is that you are at the risk of loneliness, because the companionship is not as prevalent as it was when you're early in grief. The third stage, he says, is the construction stage. And here is where you can relate the individual is moving on from mourning and has a presence or ability to live, not vicariously, but to live with a sense of hopefulness. It is not understood that this is a common scenario for people who would have lost their parents, because in those cases, some of these parents, children, don't even get to this construction stage. They continue to operate in the crucible stage, even though months and in some instances years have passed. So this is the little sharing on the observations from grief, a booklet that is presented by Dr. Handel Robinson. And I was able to sort that information Christian Medical Society, from pages 11 to 16, is where his piece of work is highlighted. And this represents the end of our program for today. We thank you for viewing and hope you are encouraged as you go forward to keep focusing on getting to the hilltop. We have to come out of the valley and climb up the hilltop. Have a good day.